we're there. Bye.
We're on.
Oh, we're on. You're there too. That's perfect timing. Okay. So I think we should be live now. Yes, we're there. All right.
Here we are. In the
But
flesh.
I only see me. I only see me. Why are you not there?
Who?
I can see you here on Zoom.
There we go. That's a little bit scary, isn't it, with a shadow background like that?
Yes, but Leah, Tom is not live. Well, oh, they can see you. Oh, they can see you. I just don't see you.
Who can see? Who?
Okay, I guess they see a screenshot or something. All right. Well, he's live, Seth. Tom is live. All right. Okay. Hi, all. Sorry for the technical issues. It's been another day of technical issues. I've been more concerned with technical issues than the whole virus. Let's see how everything holds up. So this is my my good buddy Tom. We go back over a decade. We ran the last social confidence retreat. We're kind of into a lot of the same weird things. And Tom is also quite interested in personal development. And yeah, to give a little bit of an intro about Tom, he's a former MMA fighter. And he's a breathwork facilitator, and he works with people as well, and he does a whole bunch of interesting things. And he once lived in the jungle for 6 months.
That's the interesting.
I think we should mention that. He's an interesting fella. So
Good
yeah,
way to put it, very diplomatic.
Yeah. So how I thought we were gonna do this. Well, initially I planned to just take a volunteer and work with that person to help him or her overcome her fear, and then everyone could follow along. But I didn't have any brave volunteers today. So since that's the case, I thought we were gonna just have a chat about things, just to talk about reassuring facts and some things that help us perhaps feel not so freaked out, and then do a little tap along. Maybe we do a little breathing if that's appropriate, or a little meditation or whatever, and then we should all be feeling a whole lot better despite all the stuff that's going on. So what do you think, Tom? What do you think?
Yeah, it sounds great. Sorry, I just clicked the link to view on live custom streaming service. I was listening.
I lost you on that already. Oh my God. This is fantastic. All right. So before I kick off, I just want to steal a little bit more time while I check my Trello board and actually automatically get to see if there are any comments. So what I'd like to have you do, if you're watching this, is put your fear up there if you have any fears in particular about Corona, and then we can address that in just a bit. So then I can see that if finally something goes right with all the technical stuff here on this board. So now please bear with me. I'm trying a lot of things today that I've never done before technically. And if there's anything I'm not very good at, it's technical things. I have very little patience for it, and so I'm having help with it. But not everything always goes correct the first time. So here, for you to see comments on YouTube, open this on your phone. Okay. Things in the day that I've never done before. Okay. Okay, hi Michelle, there you are. Okay, I can see things. Guys, this is working. This is good. All right, so let me get you back in my screen, Woodfin. There we go.
You can't go to the gym? You don't like to go to the gym?
Sorry,
was that you?
You don't need machines or weights to get fit and build a well-trained physique.
This is great.
Your own body weight and gravity adjust quite well.
Okay, a gazillion browsers that are open. Thank God it was a somewhat appropriate message, Tom. Imagine if it was a whole lot more inappropriate.
Yeah. It's a good job. It was that kind of like PG rated, like something else.
Okay, so I just want to kind of start off talking about where I'm at with things and where I think you can get to emotionally. So I was in Bali when I heard about the virus, and I was like, all right, that's annoying, but it's a far from my bed show, so nothing, whatever. Then 3 of my salsa festivals got canceled one after the other. One in Vietnam, then one in the Philippines, then one in a neighboring island in Indonesia. Now it became a little bit more serious, but still not really. I'm like, okay, well, I just don't go to that festival and I'll stay in Bali. Then I actually got to the Philippines, and there I met my ex, Amy, and she lives in China with her husband, and they actually got locked in the house. And they were not allowed to leave their house for 12 days. And so when I was talking to her, I was starting to like, okay, well, this seems to be a lot more serious than I thought that it was, especially when I after that spoke with my friend Jill, who talked about the death count in Italy and that it's super contagious. And now I started to get nervous. I'm like, oh my God, what if this is really bad, and what if I'm gonna catch it? And now I started to worry. A bit of dread started kicking in. I'm like, okay, I think I should better read up on this. And then very soon after that, my flight out of the Philippines got canceled because they closed the main airport. And then now I started reading up on it, and I found some information that was reassuring. I read that the estimated statistics of people actually dying is 1%, and it's not very high, and that most of these people are older people. So that kind of reassured me a little bit, and I read some other things that were helpful, like that if you have a healthy immune system, it's basically just a bad cold that you're gonna get. And but I noticed that even though I had those facts, I was still feeling quite dreadful. And I'm like, hey, I'm not in my usual jolly mood. What's going on here? Something is off. This even though I have the facts, I'm still not in my normal state of being. And while that's very normal, very, very common, I'm like, let's see if I can get myself back to centered and grounded. And so I did some tapping, did some intention-based energy techniques by Steve Wells. That's his new thing. It's really cool. And yeah, after that, I was back to feeling normal again. And a couple of days ago, I spoke to my friend Kathy, and she's actually in Bali, but she's sick. So she might very well have the virus. And when I spoke to her, she talked about how anxious she was and everything. I'm like, well, do you maybe want to do a bit of tapping on it? This is kind of the thing that I do. And she's like, okay, yeah, sure. And she had a 9 out of 10 anxiety about things. And we worked together for maybe 30, 45 minutes. And after that, I asked her to try to get upset about the coronavirus, try to be worried about it, try to get afraid, try to feel anything. And she couldn't bring those feelings back. Okay. And instead she felt calm, she felt peaceful. And she said she actually feels a lot of love in that moment. Okay. Now, spoke to her today again, and she said she had another freak out moment, and she followed along with a tap along video, and that brought her back to center. So it might be something that you need to do multiple times as you as things trigger you. So you might bring yourself back to feeling good, and then you watch the news and you're like, oh my God, we're all gonna die. You know, and that thought will trigger some more fear, and then you have some more clearing to do. Okay, so from my perspective, what you want to get to is where you're centered and where you're realistic. You know, you're realistic about what's going on, you're doing the right thing, and you're focusing on that which you have control over and not that which you do not have control over. You know, because if you try to control the uncontrollable, you know, what's actually happening in the outside world, that leads to a lot of anxiety. You know, so let's start it off with that preface. All right, Tom, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's good. I mean, you kind of addressed some. I was wondering when you said you're asking people to put their fears up on YouTube, and I was thinking, well, my own fears are about this are really more secondary instead of the virus itself. I've never really been afraid of the virus, and from everything I understand, it's very, very low mortality rate, and I think people with healthy immune systems are generally fine, and a lot of people are actually asymptomatic as well. Yeah. But the thing that I was afraid of was things like the collapse of society, maybe how people are maybe going to be suspicious of each other and how they're not going to trust each other, and they'll be distant and they'll not want to kind of engage in the same way, and then they might ask the governments to kind of come in and take more control of the situation, and then we'll hand over more control. And yeah, it seems like, I think it's really more, yeah, the economic consequences and the social consequences of it that I was really more afraid of. You address that in a good way. It's like there's some things that you can control and some things that you can't. And yeah, you can do what you can, I guess, to take responsibility. But
totally. And you can get to a place of peace when you trust that you can handle whatever it is that comes your way. And by the way, I want, if you're watching this, to make this very beneficial, just be tapping throughout this whole conversation, because things that we're going to say might trigger you, or you might already be triggered. You might already be worried. And so throughout this whole session, just be tapping over those tapping points. You don't have to focus on anything in particular. If you want to, you can, but just keep tapping from point to point. And I'll be tapping along with you. Sometimes I'll be tapping on my face, and other times I'll just be doing the finger points, just like Tom is doing now. If you're not familiar with that, you can put your hand like that and then drop your finger on the outside of the nail bed of the thumb, of the inside of the nail bed of the fingers. Now, that's a little bit awkward to do that. So you can just high five and then, fold this one and then drop this one over it and tap. That's how you tap on the outside of the nail bed of the thumb, not on the tippy top, on the outside of the nail bed of the thumb. And then, there's a bit of an awkward fist pump like this, but fist bump. I'll leave that one alone. And then you can just drop your thumb on the outside, on the inside of the nail bed of the fingers, and you can just go up and down like that. By the way, you can do this wherever you go. You can hide it behind your back. I'm doing it now. Nobody knows I'm tapping, etc. Okay. So yeah, during that conversation, during this conversation, be tapping throughout the whole thing. It's kind of funny to see myself like a minute delayed here on the phone. But what you brought up, Tom, Michelle saying, well, fear of finding new work in these uncertain times. I think that a lot of people will have these kinds of thoughts, and I can imagine that that's a scary thing. and it comes a little bit. Are you writing it down?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just wrote that.
Yeah. So there's a lot of logic that you can throw at these things, but I think that it's good to have a particular mindset about things, because sometimes sometimes you can do as much energy work as you want, but if your mindset is just wonky or incorrect or not congruent with reality, or it's just wacky, sometimes you really do need to change your thoughts. Sometimes you really do need to change your mindset. Sometimes you really do need to shift your perspective. And other times, however, or most of the time, that's not enough, and you actually need to address the emotions. So we'll get to the emotions in a bit. I just want to see if we can stir up some more fears, some worries, so that the clearing stuff is more effective. So other things that I heard people say was like, I'm worried about my parents getting sick. There's not enough hospitals, and what's going to happen, and I like to keep a playful attitude at any time, really. But yeah, it is obviously a big challenge that's going on in the outside world. So it is undeniable, but still you can bring yourself to a place where you are calmer in dealing with everything, so that you can stay calmer and you can have more internal control, so you can do the right thing. Tom, what do you think?
Sorry, say that again.
I said, basically, you want to focus on what you have control over, and you want to trust that you can handle whatever it is that comes your way. There are all these factors that you do not have control over. Whether your parents get sick, whether you're going to get a job or not, whether the world, this is the apocalypse, and next month there's the aliens coming in. We don't know. We don't know. And so your fears are often exaggerated and blown out of proportion by the information that you feed it. So you watch the news, and you watch some scary news, or you see, I saw a video where you see Chinese healthcare workers that have huge lines of people lining up that are sick, and they're losing it. They're like, I can't deal with this anymore. I'm like, okay, I think I'll tap for a little bit, because that's not something it's not enjoyable to see that, right? But it's a little bit like you're watching this, but it makes sense that you're watching it. But if at any point in the year there is some massive disaster going on at some point in the world, whether that's the Super Typhoon Yolanda in the Philippines, whether that is tsunami in Thailand, whether that's earthquakes in Indonesia, or the thing in Haiti, or like they're all over the place. But it's a far from your bed show. But if you start watching that and you start observing it, and you're there the whole time, then it can really affect you. And so you need to do your self-care and emotional management in order to deal with that, and in order to bring your stress down, so that you have a proportionate emotional response rather than a disproportionate emotional response. And tapping is quite effective for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think what you said was dead on about your mind and the information diet that you have. And because obviously there's things that need to be confronted, like you need to look at things realistically. But if you're looking at the way that the news is reporting this thing, and it's like, for me, I can understand what they're doing. It feels a little bit irresponsible, but it's kind of built into the structure of what they do, because they're in competition with each other to grab headlines and be sensationalist, and who can say the craziest thing that's going to attract attention. And so if that's your information diet, you're taking in things that are going to make you way more scared than you actually need to be. And then you see people going to the supermarket and hoarding toilet roll, and it's like, oh my God, what am I going to wipe my ass with now? It's like the world is literally come to an end. But it's really
exactly.
This is one of the things that I've had to really do work on for myself, is trying to process and integrate the fears of the way that people will react to this. Like people who are overreacting, and maybe people who are following the news and not looking at the independent sources, or looking at really the internet is there's a lot of kind of garbage on it in a lot of places, but there's a lot of really good sources of people who are actually working in cooperation together to make sense and understand the situation in real time. And those are the sources that you want to pay attention to, because they're very level-headed, very grounded, and very realistic. They're not trying to avoid the situation, but at the same time, they're not blowing it up and being overly bombastic about it. And that will give you a nice grounded perspective. But yeah, it's for sure, people taking responsibility for their own emotional reactions is really something valuable.
But it's totally true. Like what the news does is like it exaggerates things. It puts certain music underneath it that kind of, you know, brings up that emotion. It zooms in on painful things and scared. Like it is purposely trying to bring up your fear, you know, or at least a lot of resources are you know, a lot of places they are doing that. And you know, you can go into what the reasons are for that, but that's a bit, you know, it's not that important. What is important is that you're aware that that is going on, and that you can, you know, take control and actually do something about that. What I do think is that it's not all bad that they're doing that, that they're evoking that fear in people, because fear is a really good motivator. And there are some countries, and they, like a lot of people in Bali, they're still pretty ignorant about what is going on. And, you know, they still have restaurants open, you still can go social dancing. I'm like, God, what's going on with you? You know, they should have a little bit of fear, because it you know, it motivates them. So fear is not all bad, but, you know, like that much is you know, it's just when it is immobilizing you, where it's consuming your thinking, where it's there with you all the time, kind of like, you know, with social anxiety, it's not helpful. And yeah, we definitely want to do something about that. And it's also totally a matter of perspective. You know, what is going on. Just like earlier today, I got a message from a friend of mine in Bali, and she's saying, "Yeah, wow, Bali's really going crazy right now, and you know, people are in panic and this kind of stuff." I'm like, okay. And just 10 minutes before the call, I got a message from a guy, my Facebook guy who's from Romania, who's now in Bali. He's like, "Hey, how's it going, Seb? Are you in the Philippines? I'm in Bali now. How are you doing with the virus? Here, everything is still pretty chill." I'm like, wow, two completely different perspectives, totally based on how they are experiencing everything and the kind of influences they're getting from their surroundings, their belief system, the news they're watching or not watching, and so on. So yeah, it's kind of a thing. So yeah, well, have we done enough talking, or what?
You can probably start to do a little bit more. You want to do some tapping now? Is this
yeah,
is the
I
idea?
think so. Yeah. So maybe you can be my echo. How's that?
Okay, that's fine.
So we'll just pretend that you have the fear, um, and then we'll just address that.
What fear would you like to address?
Well, there are a couple ones, right? I'm afraid that my family's going to get sick. I'm afraid that I won't get a job. Um, I'm afraid that I'm going to get, and then it's going to affect my family. Afraid of losing my job. Afraid of the economy going down. Afraid of, I don't know, the apocalypse. Afraid, afraid of my, yeah, afraid of my stress and anxiety impairing my immune system and then catching the virus and not being able to fight it off, all of that kind of stuff. Yeah. So let's just start here. Now I have you a little bit delayed, Tom, but
Okay.
let's see if this is gonna go. Now you're actually frozen. But yep. Man, these technical issues, they're quite special.
Yeah, the internet's quite overworked at the minute, I imagine.
I think so. Not where I am though. I'm kind of in the middle of nowhere. The amount of white people is very few. It's very limited where I am. To the degree, to such a degree that when I see one, it's like special. I'm like, oh, hey. We kind of go to each other. I was like, hey, where are you from? Okay. Anyway, so man, this internet, what is going on? Is this my internet? That should be good. Okay, and we can just blame you, Tom. It's not a good one to do, when there's misery. Just start blaming people. It'll just feel good. It's like like it's Trump's fault, and Trump is saying, it's a China virus, and like people shouldn't be doing what they're doing, and all of that kind of stuff. That'll get you really worked up as well.
Yeah.
It's a good way to step away from your inner peace. Just start blaming everyone. It does feel good, but when you're doing it, just make sure you're tapping. I do it all the time. It's kind of a good time. Not really. Okay, so let's just do something here. So just say, well, let's tune in here first, everyone. So I just want you to close your eyes, and I want you to tune into any fears, any remaining worries that you have, any remaining, dread, and notice where you feel it in your body. Maybe just for a lot of people, it gathers in their chests or in their throats or in their stomach. And just try to get it as bad as you can. Just make it, make it worse. Because when you make it worse now, you're going to have more benefit from this tapping. You're going to, as a result, suffer less later, which is kind of nice, when you think of it. Okay. And then rate it on a scale of 0 to 10. How bad is it? 0 is I feel relaxed, at ease, in the moment, present. And 10 is like I feel really bad. Okay. And then just, we're going to call all of this corona fears and anxiety. All right. So Tom, you're my echo. Even though I have all these corona fears and anxieties.
Jeez.
And it sucks to feel this way.
And it's
Well, I guess that that is not going to work because Tom. All right, let's not have you echo it because the internet is really poor. Okay, did you get that? All right, Tom, I'm just going to disconnect you because, oh, no, not that button. Tom, mate, I'm sorry, but you're frozen. So I'm gonna thank you very much. I'm gonna remove you. Talk to you in a minute. All right, bye for now. So here we are. We lost my mate, Tom. I had to remove him because it's frozen. So anyway, it is what it is. So on the side of the hand, I say, even though I have all this coronavirus fears and anxieties, and it makes me feel really bad, and it's consuming my thinking, and that sucks. There's a part of me that doesn't want to let go of it. Because maybe it's not safe to let it go. Maybe I need to worry about this. Maybe it's better to worry about this. I don't want to let go of these coronavirus anxiety and worries. But I do want to try to accept myself and my feelings. Tapping on the beginning of the eyebrows. Just repeat after me. Say, I release all my emotional attachments to my resistance to letting go of these coronavirus fears and anxieties. So yes, I need to feel anxious. It's important that I worry about this. I don't know. The whole world is coming to an end. Chin, I gotta think of solutions now. Collarbone, I can't deal with whatever's gonna happen. Under the arms, it's gonna be really, really difficult for a really, really long time. On the liver point, life's miserable now and it's gonna get worse. On the wrist point, so I should feel bad about this. Top of the head. It would be bad to feel relaxed right now. Beginning of the eyebrows. I release all my emotional attachments to my resistance to feeling calm and relaxed. And only focusing on what I can control. Side eyes. That's such a bad idea. On the eyes. Why would I do that? On the nose. It's much better to freak out about this virus. Chin, everyone is doing it, and so should I. Collarbone. Well, not everyone. On the arms. And if some people can be more relaxed about it, maybe I can too. Liver point. It is possible that this too shall pass. On the wrist point. I can't feel at ease about this. Top of that, and that's okay. Beginning of the eyebrows. I have to feel relaxed. Side eyes. No, I don't. Side eyes. It's okay if I feel anxious or nervous or tense. I don't know. No, it isn't. Chin. Yes, it is. Collarbone. It's just my system alarming me, warning me. On the arms. And that's just because my system is trying to keep me safe. Liver point. While I don't like feeling anxious and worried and nervous, wrist point, I do appreciate that my system is trying to keep me safe. Top of that, it's quite a good and helpful intention. Beginning of the eyebrows, I'm thanking my system for trying to keep me safe. Side of the eyes. All of this anxiety, fear, and worry and dread in my body. Tap under the eyes. Focus on where you feel it, if you feel it anywhere in particular. And just keep your attention there and just allow it to be there. Just watch it, just observe it. Instead of running away from it, bring it on, you know? Yes, it's okay, I'm allowing it. You can even encourage it, get stronger, you know? You're not making your feelings the enemy. You're giving them some room, you're giving them some space while you keep tapping from point to point. I'm breaking all the Corona rules. Thank God I've been indoors for 5 days in a row. So not completely indoors. There's a little place where I go out to dance and you know, work out and stare in the distance. But you know what I mean. So I can touch my nose as much as I want. Good. So just observe your emotions, your feelings, your thoughts, and just allow them to be there. It's all right. You know, it's okay, even though it's not okay. Forgot who the lady is who sings it. It's a beautiful song. It's okay not to be okay. Sometimes it's hard. What's her name? But anyway, she sings that song, and beautiful lyrics. What she's singing is, it's okay not to be okay. So that's right. So everyone is not okay sometimes. Sometimes, for some people, it's often. For a long period in my life, I was not okay for most of the time. And once I became okay with the fact that I wasn't okay, I was less not okay, if that makes sense. If that makes any sense. So you want to give yourself permission to not be okay. Because, you know, paradoxically, that actually allows that not okayness to pass. Because what you resist persists, and what you accept and allow can shift and change, because acceptance is a precondition for change. So just be okay with those feelings in your body. Make friends with them, even though you don't like them. It's uncomfortable sensations in your body. You can handle it. And just keep breathing. Helpful. Yeah. All right. Now tune in. And okay. Just say, I'm afraid to lose my job. Top of that, I'll probably never have a job again. All the jobs will be gone forever. I'll have to live on the street. I'll be begging for money and nobody will have any sense anymore. Everyone will start attacking each other and fighting with each other. You know, the aliens will come, the world will collapse, and we'll all be in misery. You don't have to repeat that. Sometimes it helps to exaggerate things a little bit, because then you can see, oh, wow, my mind is actually playing tricks on me. Maybe it isn't that bad. Just on the beginning of the eyebrows, just say, I release all my emotional attachments to this is really, really bad. Side eyes, I can't handle the future. On the eyes, I release all my emotional attachments to feeling anxious? Okay, well, you're tapping under your nose. Now, I had a conversation with Tom a couple of days ago, and he's like, how are you doing? I'm like, well, to be honest, I feel quite inspired. And, I'm aware of the crap that's going on and how bad it is, and, how, potentially a lot of people are going to lose their lives. And, it definitely is a tragedy, but I, you know, I'm being more cautious saying this to you, the world at large, than I am when I speak with Tom. But I do see a lot of potential good that's going to come out of this. A lot of people are indoors. they're they're focusing on things that are more important to them, like their family and their connections. They get time to think, rethink. A lot of people are really forced to face particular facts right now. And what I said to Tom as well is like, why I feel that so optimistic, like it's this is not just, oh, I'm an optimistic thinker. No, it comes from the micro is the macro. So what happens inside of you is connected to all that is out there. And so this is my belief system. Okay, you don't have to go with this, but what happens inside of you is what happens outside as well. So I've noticed that in my transformation and me growing up and my healing journey, I've gone through a lot of transformations. And my most difficult, my most painful, my deepest, darkest times, they preceded my biggest breakthroughs. And without those deepest, darkest times, I wouldn't have had the healing opportunities that provided. And I wouldn't be where I am today thanks to those crappy, shitty times. And I think that's the macro or the micro, mixing them up. And I think that's happening in a bigger scheme now. That's happening at a world level. I think everyone goes through that, and everything goes through that, like cycles. So I foresee a lot of good coming out of this once we actually get control over this virus. And I hope that everyone doesn't get as affected. And I hope my family doesn't get affected. I hope my family keeps their jobs. But these things I have no control over. So I've chosen to release my attachment to the things that I cannot control. Focus on the things that I can control. I can provide value, and I like that. It makes me feel good. I'm running a 30-day social confidence challenge, and that makes me feel good. And I just trust that things are going to work out. Things are eventually going to be fine. And if crappy things happen, if a family member gets sick, or a family member loses their job, or I get sick, or something bad happens, I'll deal with it then. But I'm not going to be worried about it now already, because I don't need to be. So that's just from my view a healthy perspective. And I got this from my coaches and from my mentors and psychotherapists and so on. And so I hope that I can transmit some of that to you and infuse some of that calm, relaxed, it's going to be all right. Let's focus on what we can control kind of vibe to you. So that's my intention, my goal, and my hope. So there you go. So let's do one more round of tapping. Okay, so just tap on the top of your head. Say this remaining corona anxiety. With the eyebrows. I can't let it go completely. Say eyes. It's not safe to let go of it. On the eyes. I refuse to let go of this anxiety. I don't know. I need to be anxious about it. Chin. Being anxious really helps me function better. Collarbone, it makes me a better human being. On the arms, it makes me so much more productive. On the liver point, I can help more people. Wrist point, and it's just a really good time. Top of that, it makes being by myself such a party. I can recommend it to anyone. I recommend Corona anxiety. On the okay. All of my fears and worries on those, I give myself permission to have them. Chin, and I release all my emotional attachments to my remaining resistance, to feeling calm and centered right now. Good. All right, take a deep breath. I feel more calm and centered. You know, been rushing around, rushing and running around whole day trying to get everything in order for this, you know, and preparing for the social confidence challenge that's coming up. And so I've been kind of going back and forth, and then things were going wrong, and then last minute, you know, things don't work out. So I've been a bit stressed, and just doing this, just, you know, tapping for, you know, however long we've been tapping, 20, 30 minutes, just brings me calmer. So it's nice. Recommend doing that. So I'll leave you with this. Whenever you get triggered, just tap, just sit with it. Just notice, just become more aware of your emotional state. And whenever you get out of your comfortable state, just notice that. It's like, hey, I'm not as comfortable as I was before I saw the news. I need to do some self-management. So I'm going to sit down and, you know, I'm going to go over what was said, how I'm interpreting that, how it's making me feel. I'm just going to sit with it. And maybe you challenge it. You know, there's a variety of things that you can do, but, you know, be creative, play around with it and see what happens. Okay. So I hope it's been helpful. If you want to join the Social Confidence Challenge, it's for free. It's going to be amazing. You know, thanks to this quarantine, I've had some time finally to actually sit down and put this together, because it requires a lot of thinking work and preparing work to put all of this together. And it is amazing. It's pretty much a small version of my social confidence community. Every day you get like, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, some days a little bit longer, some days a little bit shorter, of information that all follows on each other. And it's going to significantly reduce your social anxiety by the end of these 30 days without having to leave your home. How cool is that? No forcefully facing your fears required. It's an inside job. So that you use this period of Corona as something very beneficial, so that afterwards you come back into the world with renewed confidence, with less anxiety, and just more ease and comfort with yourself. So if you're interested in that, go to bit.ly/social confidence challenge. That is bit.ly/social confidence challenge. And you know, I'm gonna put my earplugs on. I'm gonna go outside and do some dancing. You know, it's an interesting time, guys. Thanks for being here, and yeah, I'll connect with you soon. Bye for now.